Hello, gamers, geeks, freaks. Matt Lemke with Lance T.Miller at Con on the Cob 2012, Hudson, Ohio. We're going to talk with Lance a little bit about his background, how he got involved with the unique set of art that he does, and maybe even a little bit about what all that is actually entailing, because his art's really pretty phenomenal for the back of your normal playing cards. So, how long ago did you get started with prestidigitation or sleight of hand?
I've been doing sleight of hand card magic since I was about 7 years old, and I carried it through middle school, high school, eventually into college, even such to the point of going and doing children's parties and other gambling events and things like that, just appearing, doing numerous types of shows, I guess you could say.
And then when you got into college, you made the course change, or you decided to, you obviously stuck with it because you still do some of the tricks.
Yeah, about 15 years old is where I realized I needed to make a decision whether I was going to do art or magic. And I started making the transition into art because it was really more what I loved, and I was headed towards computer animation and graphic design. So I put away the cards because I knew that it was going to take as much time to become a master at that than it would to be becoming a master artist.
Yeah, it's not something you can do both of.
Yeah, it would take a lot of dedication.
But I can't see, so I have to double check something. Okay. Red dot means recording.
Oh, okay.
I can't see the red dot from here.
That's great.
And then, where'd you go to school?
I went to the Art Institute of Washington in D.C., and that was from 99 to 2005. It was actually
So
5.5 years in college.
Yeah, you've been out about 8 years.
Yeah.
And you decided to start your own art studio, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I've been freelance since 2002, slightly after I got into my college, and have been trying everything from starting my own company, working at other marketing firms, doing branded development for small companies and things like that, and just realized that I really like working on my terms and being able to control the medium. And you would think, but some people actually thrive in an environment where somebody else tells them what to do. And
that's not me.
Just not me.
So, obviously you do your decks. How many? 6 decks now?
No, I have 4 decks in production that have made it into production, but I have over 10 designs that I have in the works otherwise.
Oh. So I own them all.
You do?
Yeah, I think I do. I have gargoyles. I have the one that I bought this summer that came out, the gears.
The Artist Edition actuators.
Oh, that I don't have all 4. Well, unless you're counting these as different editions.
These are different editions, so they
So
count
I do have
as
all 4.
production. Yes.
Okay, so those are your 4 decks.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And why would they're specialized decks.
Yes.
For
they're designed for magicians and card handlers. If you take a normal deck of bicycles and you fan it any more than 10, 15 times, the deck starts to clump. This has a special finish on it that allows you to continually fan, and it's smooth, consistent handling. It has moisture blocking so that if you sweat profusely, you can still do tricks with it, and it won't impede the ability of the deck to slide across itself.
Now, what is the base of that finish?
It's actually a proprietary finish that U.S. Playing Card developed.
And what other projects do you have besides your cards?
I work on some board games. I've worked with Lisa Steenson from Gut Bustin' Games. Done a couple of projects with her. Mostly the design and layout of her product packaging and her rules booklets. I do corporate branding for some select clients still. And other than that, I'm a freelance illustrator and graphic designer.
And I mean, your art's really unique. You do it all. Is it you actually draw it first and then do it digitally, or?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about my process, and it usually starts on paper. I just sketch out a concept, work out a couple of the details that I want to do, but then most of my work actually happens in the computer after that. I'll scan it in, I'll set up a mood board, pull in all kinds of inspirational pieces, put it all around the surface area that I'm working on, and then draw in the computer with a digital tablet and create all of my artwork right there.
That's weird. I can't imagine what it's like to draw on a digital tablet.
It's different. And it's interesting because I'm actually trying to transition to more traditional medium. I call myself a digital era baby because I can do just about any art I want on the computer, and it looks amazing. The thing is, I mean, you've got edit undo on the computer. You don't have that in real life on a canvas, and I think there's something to that craftsmanship that I'm trying to seek, trying to get back to, how the old masters created. And, they created intricate designs and patterns and things like that, and they didn't have copy-paste. They didn't have, the ability to make one side of it.
They didn't have whiteout.
Flip it. Exactly. A lot of that stuff. And so that's why I'm studying with Ed and Larry to build up my professional repertoire to include painting on canvas and drawing with different materials. So
I didn't know you were doing canvas.
I'm working on it.
You haven't actually done one yet. Or finished.
I've done a couple.
Well, you haven't brought them with you.
No, nothing that I would bring into the public yet.
Well, I want to see your angel deck on canvas.
That would be nice.
That would be a feat, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not something you're used to doing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
A lot of
I could see Ed doing it. I don't think I could see Larry doing that though. It wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure he's capable. I'm not dissing Larry, but it's so not his style.
Yeah, well, I'd say in general it's not either of their style. And that's what kind of drew Ed to me, is that I'm doing a lot of traditional-looking fantasy art, but in a digital medium, and seeking to make it still look like art.
And the whole digital medium really intrigues Ed. It really does. I watched, last year, Arnie was here, and I watched him talk to Arnie for hours. It was just like, it was a real cool trip, because it's like, here's Arnie kind of left the art field, and then you've got Ed, who's still really accomplished and almost living legend in the art field. And he's talking to this guy who doesn't really do it anymore, like disappeared. Well, how do you do this? And it's just like, and it's almost like Ed elevated him.
Yeah. And
it kind of makes sense because, Ed didn't really, he's like, I really don't know anything about this. And he said that, talking to Arnie. And it's just like, wow, this is really cool to see an artist who's so accomplished showing so much respect to another artist who has a different take on the field. And I was just like, see, now that's really cool.
And that's what I love about both Ed and Larry, is they're very humble individuals. They can look at somebody like me who, I don't have as good of a grasp on anatomy as Ed does or Larry does. But they can both look at me and say, hey, you've got nice artwork for where you're at. I want to see where you're at in 10 years. Yeah. Not only that, but I want to help educate you. I want to teach you so that down the road, when you're my age, you can teach other people.
I'd like to see a dragon deck.
It might be coming.
I would like to see that. That'd be cool.
It might be forthcoming. We're not divulging any details just yet.
That's a good smile, though, people. Well, I guess what's left next is, what are your aspirations? I mean, you kind of already touched upon them, but you didn't. I mean, you've already got 10 decks in the works, or a total of 10, which probably means you've got about 20, because if you're a creative mind, that probably means you got ideas rolling around the back of your head that haven't said, hey, wake up, dummy.
Right. Well, there's a couple of different ways that I could go. I could keep creating my own artwork forever in perpetuity and just turn it into decks of playing cards and call it that and let that be my career or living legacy, if you will. But what I really want to do is kind of reach out to the other artists that are out there that don't really know the process, don't know how to do something like this, but might have really neat artwork that could appear on playing cards and help either come alongside them and produce their artwork as a deck, but putting my seal of approval on it, I guess you could say. I've trained the market to expect a certain level of quality from me, both in the craftsmanship of the art and the final product that ends up in their hand. And if I bring a new artist in and say, look, this person has the art skill set that I would back, and we can turn it into a good quality product and put that in somebody's hands, well, now I'm doing much more than just being an artist. I'm opening up the market for other people. And, I definitely believe in the pay it forward mentality. So.
And for those of you that are unfamiliar with this, he shared something with me. He actually draws them at the 1-to-1 ratio on the computer. I mean, you can zoom in, but he still does the actual art at actual scale. So
it's pretty intense, the level of detail that I can
How long did it take you to draw the back of the white gears that you've got in your hand?
Well, the back has about 80 to 90 hours of illustration work in it. And the entire deck, all combined, I did all the court cards and everything like that.
Because all the queens are different.
Mm-hmm. It's 350 hours plus of illustration work throughout the entire deck.
It's not as bad as I thought.
No, but, that's digital.
And that's one of your, that's compared to, I can only picture the angel right now. But compared to the angel, that seems like a simpler drawing.
Sure. Yeah, the one back card, or the one court card that I've done for the angel deck is 120 hours in just that one court card.
Yeah, that's one card.
That's
the
and
then you've got the back, which you've got a lot of time in, because there's a lot of feathers.
And I'm redoing that.
How many feathers are there? You should know that.
No, actually I don't. That kind of happened autonomously. There's a whole story that goes with how that deck was created, but it would take up its own segment. So
we got time. So you hit all these gaming conventions.
Yeah. Do
you hit card playing and Magic conventions too, or you pretty much stick with the gaming crowd?
For the most part, I'm mainly with the gaming crowd right now. A lot of people in the Magic industry don't really know who I am yet, and the fantasy art world is seeming to. I've only been in the industry for 3 years now. I debuted 3 years ago at Art Origins, and I've won a couple of awards each of the different years. And so now in the fantasy art world, my name is starting to become synonymous with doing fantasy art playing cards. In the Magic world, I'm just starting to make a dent. And I've started appearing at a couple of the conventions and things like that. And so my name is picking up. But it's definitely, right now, a second chair to the gaming world. I'm a gamer at heart.
Well, I think with your steampunk stuff, you've certainly got a niche there that you can... Yeah. Your steampunk stuff is... I don't get out as much as I used to, but you don't see a lot of steampunk art.
Right.
And when you do, it's usually of, characters. It's not of the surroundings. So, I think you've got a real cool niche there.
It's something different. There's a lot of steampunk artists, and I give a lot of credit to people who have kind of defined what the steampunk genre is based on Wells' writing and Jules Verne and the guys that, put the images in our heads to start with. There's no real map that says this is steampunk or this isn't steampunk. There are certainly people who have created groups around it and determined rules or viability of what they think is steampunk, and some I buy into, some I don't. But I tried to hit as broad of a range of it as possible and think, okay, well, throwing the steampunk moniker out there is very dangerous if you've not done your research. And being in the fantasy art world, I'm a lot more entrenched in that ideology. And so I talk with these people a lot, and when I was able to produce my actuators and put them out there, and I got people that would just pick up my deck and go, now that's steampunk. That was a feeling of
accomplishment.
Yeah, affirmation that I've done a great job in representing what steampunk really is. Because there's other decks out there that have tried to do steampunk themes, but don't really know enough about the culture to really execute it well.
So when are you going to do the Lance T.Miller character sketch back?
I don't know that I will. There is a signature deck in the works.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So I like the sketches you've done for like Facebook of yourself and that. I mean, I think a comical character sketch deck would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's something that's interesting because I have to be able to create something that will live between the fantasy art world and the magic world.
Yeah. Because
I have to hit both of those markets. If I don't, then I don't have really the type of audiences that I'm going for.
Right.
And then there's a whole other category called cardistry. And a lot of people don't even know this, but the videos of the kids that are doing the, crazy shuffling and flourishes with my decks, that's a genre in and of itself. And a lot of it comes down to the back pattern of the card or what the faces look like in motion. And so that's another thing that I have to take into consideration.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I never would have. So how does a deck that, something like your gears, your actuators, how does that play into the cardistry?
Well, it's great because the gears, when you do different shapes with them, play off of each other. You can do different types of splits and displays. Man, I look like a jerk on camera right now because I'm not. I don't do this stuff, but these kids make really cool displays and make it look like the gears are linked together. And I mean, I've only been doing cardistry now for a few months, but these kids have been doing it for years. And I've got a couple of guys on my pro team that, I'll link you to some of the videos and you can see.
There's a lot into the deck design then that nobody sees.
No, and that's the thing. Unless you know what all I've gone through to create the deck, you can't understand the value that I've placed on it.
It'd be cool if you could make one that it looked like a whole army or something when you were doing it. I mean, well, when you first said cardistry, I was thinking there's a whole card art group that just gets cards because they look cool. That's the first thing that came to my mind. So I'm like, there's this company called Paizo. And if you do some kind of goblin knockup, man, you'll make a fortune.
Well, I gotta make sure I address something here because I'm sure a lot of my followers are gonna end up seeing this video. And cardistry is a sub-branch of magic, and it started out as a term called XCM or extreme card manipulation. And what that was very swiftly executed moves of cutting the deck in a certain way, creating displays with the cards, doing all kinds of different things, and chaining it into a routine. Well, cardistry evolved off of that. And now you've got kids that are expressing themselves through the handling of their cards, through doing fans to the timing of music or displays on a certain beat. All those types of things come into play, and you have a whole nother genre that's been spawned off of this. There's a lot of people in the magic world that think that cardistry isn't a viable art medium or art form. But I understand it for its value for a lot of these kids. I mean, you're talking kids in different countries that come from very different situations than what we have. And to a lot of them, this is their lifeblood. Being able to pick up a deck of cards and work it in all kinds of amazing ways and inspiring people with what they can do. They put hours and hours and hours of dedication into it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Because of that, I put hours and hours and hours of dedication into my artwork to make sure that when they handle these cards, looking at them first off is going to strike inspiration. And then handling them is the secondary piece, making sure that it's the very best quality that U.S. playing card can deliver. Not a lot of the other manufacturers really take all those things into consideration. Some of them do, and they've built names for themselves and things like that. But the cardistry market is almost an afterthought in a lot of their minds.
But it's growing.
But it's growing. and I'm trying to nourish it as much as I nourish the Magic market.
And it doesn't hurt you in the slightest bit. It only makes your product a better product,
Certainly.
broader product.
Right. If I can hit more broad markets with it and get more people that can find a reason to use it, for some it's the collector's ability. Me putting the serial numbers on there, proving that it's a very limited edition. Some people just want to collect it. And that's a lot of my fantasy art people just want to collect the deck and put it aside and hold on to it. But I want as many people to be able to open the box and use it and love using it as possible. And so that's where in the future I'm going to create some different sets that aren't quite so limited, that are more designed for general everyday use, but still have the amazing artwork and as much love and attention as I can possibly put into it.
And there's one other unique thing about all your products. Each deck comes with a link to one or two magic tricks.
It depends on the deck. The Artist Edition Actuators is just one trick that's built in, but then we gave you an extra gaff card and we taught you how to use that. So there's two magic tricks there. The Black Edition has one gaff card that we've taught you how to use two different ways. And then there's another gaff card in there that you can do different things with. And the White Edition, we've taught you how to do one trick with it. So, but each one of them is designed to be used in different ways. And I want to give enough to introduce people to the world of Magic to get them excited about it and learn that, hey, you can really do some really interesting and exciting things. But then we're going to teach you more down the road and build that audience.
So you get a tutorial too.
Yeah.
Ongoing. And
there's so much built-in value that a lot of people miss. And, it's funny because here at the conventions, I could sell one of these decks easy, $25, nobody would blink an eye.
Yeah, just by the way they look.
Right. In the general Magic market, though, they hear that a deck is $12.95 and they go, wow, that's expensive for just a deck of cards. And what they're not realizing is all of the extra built-in value that I've put into it is worth way more than what I'm asking. And so that's a part of doing an interview like this. I want to educate the masses as much as I can and give a lot of people an opportunity to hear me talk about what I do. I make myself as open and available as possible for people to contact me. Some of them use it, some of them don't, but as many different avenues as I can go and really introduce people more to my product. That's what I'm interested in right now. So
it's a good thing to be interested in. You have a line, I know.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people that don't want to connect with the audience. They just want to make a product and put it out there and make people buy it.
I don't see much of a point to that, but
I have an old-fashioned mindset. I want to be connected with my audience. And
well, you kind of, nobody should be able to sell your product or educate somebody on your product better than you.
Right.
That's just my personal take. It's like I had one guy wants to join us, and he goes, well, I want to do all your interviews for you so you can run events. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you can sell this the way I can. You might be able to do the interviews better, but you're not going to be able to sell the blog better.
Right.
Because, well, when's the last time you made a post? And he's like, never.
Fair enough.
And then pretty much after that, he's like, I don't know how to respond to that.
Right.
I'm like, write some posts, and then you'll have a response.
Right.
So, again, it comes down to if it's your product, you should be able to sell it better than anybody else.
Right.
I guess that brings us to about a close, unless there's something that you really want to add that we should have touched on that we missed.
No, I think we've covered a lot of bases, and I definitely thank you for the opportunity to just chat with you and educate your audience as well.
Me. Well, where can we find you?
LanceMillerDecks.com is my most notorious web address. But then you have an alternate, just LanceTMiller.com, which is my personal website where I do more broad range fantasy art and corporate projects. and post my stuff there.
The other side of Lance T.Miller. Is it darker?
Not for
Notice, he has a white and a black deck.
Oh, actually, that is a really good point. I have a very kind of spiritual background. I believe in good and evil, and I believe in the struggle between good and evil and man's propensity to lean one way or the other. And so a lot of my cards actually have messages built into them, and people don't know that. But so, for instance, on this deck, you've got good, evil, neutrality, and God in the center.
Wow, I would not have figured that out without a lot of research.
But see, that's the thing. I don't want to shove it in somebody's face. I don't want to say, look, Jesus is your Savior, and you have to have this deck because it's going to save you. I'm not that type of person. I came to belief in Christ through many different ways. I was an agnostic, borderline atheist for 10 years, and I'm very open about that type of stuff. So if anybody has any questions, they're absolutely welcome to ask me. But I do build messages of hope and inspiration into my cards because it does something different. When somebody picks up this deck, it's more than just a piece of art. There's a story. And you can get that story with that QR code. It gives you that along with those magic tricks and everything like that. It tells you about why I've made the court cards what they are and who specifically the queens are.
And yeah, sometimes who modeled the queens.
Right. So each of the queens are different.
And you can get the queens all signed if you meet the people.
Yeah, totally.
I've got a deck with 4.
But, yeah.
The artist edition has got them all signed. Well, no, actually I might need one more signature.
It should have 2 signed, I think. Because there's not really a way to get my little sister to sign your cards.
Oh, no, I guess not. Thought I had 3, but...
No, you got 2.
You
got my signature, my wife's signature,
and
Destiny Beard's signature.
So I did get 3 signatures,
yes.
Just not all women.
Correct.
It's got long hair.
I am pretty,
We're not going there.
No.
But you know where to find Lance. This is Matt Lemke with Lance T.Miller at Con on the Cob, Hudson, Ohio. We're done until 2013, or unless we see him at Origins, and I'm not running 2 million events. But thank you guys. Hope you enjoy it.